Welcome, friends. Today, by the way, my name's Steve Hankal. I'm a painter. I do landscapes and some different venues of like space, theme. Also, I have some collage work that I enjoy doing. But anyway, we'll talk about landscapes today and what to look for. I have I call it a sketch. Actually, it's a print from my computer printer. I have two. One kind of gives me an idea of the color theme and exactly the subject matter that we're going to be working on. What I did is I made a grid on this, and since this is bigger, the ground that we're going to paint on, the grid here I copied and made it equal to, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these squares and then 5 down. So that's kind of the color theme, and this helps me to know what's in each square and kind of, it doesn't have to be exact, but the whole goal of the whole thing is to make a painting that is pleasant eye and something enjoyable I like to do. Now I also made a copy in black and white because I want to see the values of each of these layers along here from the sky down here. Now as we can see, it looks like this mountainous area back here in the foreground is almost the same on the grayscale. From 1 to 10, they're pretty much a 5 or something like that. And of course you've got like maybe a 2 up here, and this varies from 7 to 9 to 10. But anyway, this kind of helps me with the colors and that kind of thing. And we'll get started here. What I've already done is I kind of sketched in where the tree line is, and back here's the mountains and the foreground and the sky area. Now what I did to the canvas is I put a coating of gesso, which is like a primer, on here, and that helps with the surface absorbing the colors of paint. And this is done on acrylic, and it dries fast. That's one of the things I like about it. Now you can continue to paint, or at least slow it down or step it up a little bit. And this is a clear gesso I put on here. Gesso comes in so many variable colors. It comes in clear, real black, and anywhere in between you can get colors of gesso, which again, like I say, is a primer for your painting. So when I put this clear on here, it kind of protected the drawing or the guidelines I have back here to go on when I start painting. So we'll get right on that. And today I'm talking about landscapes and demonstrating a little here of how I go about starting a landscape. And there was a couple of examples of landscapes at the beginning of this video. One was a farm with the cows in the field, and then there was a soybean field in the front. In that painting, I used gesso, which is like a primer, but you can use it to make texture. So, you know, you can make it like a 3D, like since the soybean field is close, it can kind of project that there's leaves and of the soybeans and the rows and stuff like that, and then the stalks in the front. So yeah, that, and then as you go back, you've got aerial perspective, which you use some real thin, maybe white or blue, just in front of the distant mountains, so that you know, you can. It's like you're looking through the actual atmosphere. Now today, what I've got here is a black and white rendering, or actually not a rendering, I didn't do this, this is a photo. And then this is the color here. So this is good to tell you the value of each of this. It's almost like a strata. You've got layers. This is one layer in the foreground, middle ground, and then back here you've got the mountains and of course the sky. And so this kind of gives me an idea about what colors are needed to make this, you know, like the value that you want. What it shows me. The colors you pick out have value. I can already see that the blue here for the mountain is a little bit too dark, but I'm not going to worry about that now. I'll come back and it's easy to fix. Now I'm going to go into this area here. And of course this is like a mid-tone color. And this will change quite a bit as you add the darker colors and of different value in here. And the grasses, and all of those have got different areas of color, texture, that kind of thing. So I like that. I'm just going to make this real fast. See how this comes out. Got to keep that yellow in there because that's where I've got some green grass underneath there. So this will all change as it progresses and to go through it. Now then, I'm going to put in a middle value, and when I for the trees and this area here, I'm going to put in kind of like the real dark and the very lightest. I'm going to put the middle value of that in here, light enough to where I can still see my outline to paint the trees later. So I'm going to start with that right now. And I think, again, I'm going to go a little bit with the gray, which I got a little burnt umber, and a little bit of blue, and some white. That might be a little too blue, so I'm going to make it a little darker. And burnt umber is like a dark brown. So we want to get in there with that. A little bit of blue still, not too much blue, but this will be kind of a mid-tone in this whole situation here. If we go through here, different spots, but we've got some dark in there, so that'll be okay. We'll make it work. And trees have got branches, they've got leaves, and so we're gonna put this all in here for right now. This doesn't look like much right now, but it's giving me an idea of the value, the middle value, and then the details will come later. Okay. Okay, that's our start. I'm going to let that dry a little while, and in the meantime, I'll show you some finished landscapes that I've done and using this technique. Okay, I'm going to bring you up to date. I think the last time we talked, and I did take a break so that I could catch up a little bit on some of the values in these backgrounds and work a little bit on the mountain and the sky. So I'll be working on this a little bit today, and hopefully we can eventually get a nice painting out of this. I think what we did before, just as a little review, we took the color theme and the actual image I wanted to use as the image I want to show here. I also chose a black and white copy, and I was doing a little review, and I don't think I quite explained the grayscale. Most of you might be familiar with that, but usually referring to the lightest light would be white and the darkest dark would be black. And then from 1 through 10, like 1 would be the whitest and black would be the darkest, and there's 10 shades. Now there could be more, but anyway, that's what we're trying to accomplish to some degree here, but what we really want is an acceptable picture that people will want to look at. And I think if you're going to be doing a painting like this or similar to it, or anything, you know, that you want to paint, you want people to stop and look at it and say, hey, it looks pretty nice. So what I've done here is I've finished the mountain and a little bit of the sky. I'm still going to put some clouds in up here. The foreground needs some work. I may work a little bit on this right now and try to get some definition here of the grasses and the different shades in this foreground, which is a field that's a lot of sage and different grasses. So I've got my handy dandy paintbrush here. I'm using my wet palette today. You might be able to see that. I just put out some of this burnt umber, and I see that there's that color is in the foreground. You have to stop and look at it for a little while. On second thought, I think I'm going to use a fan brush because they are a little bit more this is not a fan brush, but it's got a kind of a, you can see the scratchy. We want to show grass here, weeds that come up. because this is a field full of sage and different grasses coming up from the ground. Now we can come back in and use different, not necessarily colors, but different shades of this same, like again on a gray scale or a value scale, to duplicate what's here. And again, we don't want to go, we'll be working, one of the good key in a landscape is to work all over the painting at one time. Because you don't want something over here that shows so much detail and you're concentrating on only, and then when you come back and you look at it from a distance, say, hey, that doesn't really match as well as it should. So that's what I'm trying to avoid at this point. So continue to work on this, and again, I'm painting in acrylics. There's some yellowish looking background in here. This is Naples yellow. Now then, let's move on to some of the areas underneath here. This is the tree line back here, and as you know, on the lower, you're going to have a lot of shade inside the tree line, where the back in the woods, it's going to be a little darker around there. So let's move in here, just put a little bit of dark in there, on here. I like to, if you get black, if you get it too black, it doesn't look real, so I'm going to put some darkness in here a little bit, underneath the trees. Okay, now we've got a lot of, we could actually put a lot of this in here. It's dark. Right here in the middle we got dark. It kind of favors the design and outline of these trees. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Now, this doesn't look like it's going to mount too much, but over time you'll see that it does. And make sure you always have plenty of water. Clean your brushes, because acrylic will dry very fast and you've got a solid piece of acrylic in that. So anyway, I'm going to let that dry for just a second and I'll be right back. We're starting to take a little bit of shape here in the trees. Okay, this is looking a little better. Starting to get some form. And maybe get a little bit of shadow in there. Kind of, let's see what we can do with this big tree in this area right here. Using some burnt umber, which is go dark brown in here to kind of make the tree stand out. Now we'll do a little yellow for the yellow maple that's in that tree. And that's right down here. A little yellow maple tree right in there. Maybe one here. And these will always take shape slowly. It's a work that it takes a lot of patience and a lot of time. But if you keep getting the colors right and the shapes, it's going to turn out nice. It just, you got to keep painting till it looks right. Okay, now I'll put a little bit of dark green in there to highlight back in here. These random trees taking shape back here. And remember to blend in occasionally. Just kind of blend that color to make it look like it should, like it really is. Alright, just keep on working here in this area. Get the color out of the brush before I dip it into another one. Okay, let's take a look here a minute. Okay, I see a little spot over there. Another yellow maple. Let's see, right back in here. Got some real fiery looking poplar trees maybe, not sure. So we keep working with that. Okay, it's light against dark. Keep seeing those trees show up. And in the foreground, again, like I was saying earlier, try to look through the painting and not stay in one spot all the time so you can get the right balance. Now I see some kind of a darker sage in here. This may not show up real good, but for now, but it will when it starts to stand out, or when we, as we work with it, you can see kind of a grassy weed look. It's just what we're shooting for. These fan brushes are great for this kind of detail. They make them different. The bristles on this one are stiffer. You can get them that are real smooth and good for blending. But this one here is just real good to put these sage grass in there. Sage, I guess it is. Okay, let's keep moving. A little bit darker in there on that spot. There's some tall trees back here, almost on the same plane as this big tree with the bright leaves on it. So we're gonna kind of make that back in there. And over here there's trees that are sticking up out of the forest there. thing about acrylics, it's very bright. It's a lot of fun to work with. This needs to dry, and I hope if you try it and you pick out your own photo, get an 8.5 by 11 copy of it on your computer, and one color and one with a grayscale, so you can check your values of your colors, and just work with it and make sure that when you get through, it looks like what you want it to look like a little forest with the trees and bushes and our fall colors. And there's a little more dark in here. And there's lots of maple. I'm not sure, those might be poplar. And so I'll be rendering this. It's gonna be a little time consuming. Eventually I'll get to it. So anyway, wish you luck, and I hope that you got something from this, and have fun painting. Thank you.